coming back that I had to see my parents. And I had been gone for a minute and had left some things in my refrigerator. And when I got back, I opened the refrigerator to figure out what I was going to eat that day when I got off the plane, only to slam it shut tight. OMG. The scent coming out of my refrigerator was gut curdling. It was so gross. And it was clear there was something in there that needed to be disposed of, needed to be thrown away. And I had not done it yet because I had just gotten back. I just got off the plane. And to be completely honest with you, it took me about 3 days of a shut refrigerator and a lot of Uber Eats to deal with it because I was exhausted after I had come back from that trip. I just did not have the bandwidth to deal with it. But there was no way to get what was in the fridge to go back to the state that it was in before I left. It was truly wasted, wilted, dead, done, over, gone. Could not be resuscitated more. And that, friends and star family, is the vibe of this Capricorn full moon. Takes place right here at the 8th degree of Capricorn. It is conjunct an energy called Folus, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. And it is also, it's got an interesting square to Neptune and Saturn here in the sign of the self, that's Aries, as well as a semi-sextile to Pluto and Juno, whom are both retrograde, bringing in some deep conversations about power connections and communities, while also trining Chiron, who's just arrived in Taurus, making it oh so easy to just start to see where the wounds are. If we haven't already known for a fact, I promise you, you've known. As well as Make Make in Libra, we've got a great square there and a sextile to Haumea in Scorpio. So it feels like there's a lot going on, but the undertone and undercurrent is that what's truly over and done, you need to let it go. Stop trying to pretend like it's not over and done, like I did with the stuff in my fridge when I got back from the holidays back in January. But also, some of you have already done the hard work of cleaning out the fridge, but are refusing to put fresh new things in there to start your next chapter. And this full moon is letting us all know it's time. It's time. So let's break this down one by one. This conjunction to Folus. Folus is one of the centaurs of the zodiac, and his mythology is deeply linked to doing all the right things and then getting penalized for it, being in the wrong place at the wrong time and things blowing up in your face. Certainly in dutiful Capricorn, this full moon conjunct Pholus is illuminating where we've been trying to do the quote unquote correct things, right things, the appropriate things, the traditional things, the structured things, the things we've gotten sign off and green light for in the past, only to find that those things, as we come into this 60-day mark before the lunar eclipse in Pisces, so this is an activation point, turn out to be the very thing that causes us massive problems in present tense. They worked before, but they definitely don't work now. And this Capricorn full moon conjunct Folus is telling us why. It's time to let go of the hand of the tried and true, the traditional, the established, the old. This is going to serve because it's a full moon and an activation point for an eclipse as a bit of an exaggeration of sorts so that we can't unsee the patterns, the structures, the traditions, the established things that have become toxic. so that we can get the chance to write that new story, try out a new behavior, take on a new pattern. Now, I took a very deep dive on Folus specifically inside of Star Club. There's a great recording because I'm going to be talking about this sucker a lot between now and the close of the year. Just about every new or full moon has a communication to Folus. And that is to put us on notice. You can no longer do what's tried and true. You're going to have to step into the new. Full stop. So, with that in mind, if you're curious about it, you can still join Star Club. There are Stellium memberships available, and one new moon reading membership available if you would like to make sure I read your chart. But otherwise, this information is literally the information that could get your year onto a better timeline. So, I recommend you join Star Club now. Link to do that is below if you're curious. Now, the events at this full moon, because we have these other aspects that I'm going to break down in a minute, will let us know which things are well and truly over, and the other aspects give us a few clues. The Saturn Neptune square here from Aries. Here's Neptune, fourth degree of Aries, Saturn, 14th degree of Aries, speaking to this full moon in Capricorn, are pointing to, first of all, and this has been going on all year since February when they both stepped into Aries. There's an aspect of personal identity that we're going to have to put down, a way of being, a way of identifying ourselves. We look in the mirror or we self-refer and we say, I am a this, or I'm a that, or I'm XYZ, fill in the blank with a label or some other such identity marker. There is some identity that we're wearing that at this point, Saturn and Neptune have been trying their hardest since February to clean up, to get us to stop clinging to sever from us and wash away. Saturn does the severing, Neptune does the washing away for the purposes of coming into our true nature as divinity incarnate, our true God self in a body. There is a cutting off of that which undermines that truth within us in present time. And this full moon is helping us to see it. One of my clients today from Star Club, we have readings for new moon members today. And one of my clients said, I have been wearing the identity of the helper my whole life. Okay, when is it going to be my turn? And I had to look at her in this energy in her chart and tell her it's going to be your turn when you take your turn and not a minute sooner. There are ways in which we have pigeonholed ourselves or told ourselves a story about what we can have, who we can be, and what we can do based on good things, typically, right? Being someone who helps other people isn't a bad identity to have. But this energy of 2026, these eclipses, this full moon that's part of the Pisces lunar eclipse on August 28th as a 60-day activation point, and Folus in particular speaking to so many of our new and full moons. This energy is telling us, especially square Saturn and Neptune, listen, whatever structure you've previously had, it's about to be as uncomfortable as a cold, wet, itchy wool sweater. You cannot continue to wear it. You've outgrown it, and it's time to put it down. Those of you who've done the union workshop with me and my co-teacher, Romania, you heard us talk about that identity is the place from which your life sources itself from. It is life responding to who you say you are. Saturn and Neptune here, and in particular, squaring this full moon, are trying to help us recognize, hey, there's certain identities you're wearing here that just no longer work for you. Time to put them down. Okay. Now, this has the potential to be excessively helpful even if uncomfortable. Our former selves becoming inaccessible can actually be very liberating, especially for those of us wanting to step into a new reality. But I also want to acknowledge for those for whom this is very disorienting when we try to solve a new problem or even an old problem in familiar ways, like I've always done it this way, why doesn't it work? We will find that it causes more problems in this energy, not resolves them. Further, if we're trying to continue or sustain circumstances that cause us to self-betray, like, yes, I can be your assistant when I'm really meant to be the star of my own show. Or no, I'm not really in love with you, even though everyone around us can see the sparks a mile away. Or of course, I can lend you my mortgage money again. I'll be fine, even if I don't know how to pay it. These kinds of self-betrayals will be very costly in energy like this, not only at this full moon, but also in light of the fact that I said that this full moon is a lunar eclipse activation point. So it's going to be really important to do two things to get through this on a higher timeline. Number one, when old problems surface, you're going to have to try something new, solve them in new ways, break the habit of being who you've always been. Second, we are all going to have to be willing to be outside of what feels good, what feels comfortable in order to do that. Our brain is a pattern sustaining mechanism. It is calm, it is non-reactive and neutral when we sustain the established patterns. It gets agitated, itchy, uncomfortable, stimulated when we do something very new. Look for the discomfort of doing something new. That's going to be what allows you to open the portal and step onto a new timeline here. Let's talk about this full moon's semi-sextile to Pluto here, and Juno there in Aquarius. This is going to have this full moon place a premium on sorting out relationship matters and power dynamics within our partnerships. Issues um, such as are we being fairly compensated in our partnerships? Is labor equitably divided in our community or group alliances? Do we need to renegotiate our marital and partnership agreements in business so that everyone feels that they have a say in influencing the direction of things? Being fair is, yes, a big part of the conversation, but the driving force behind the conversation is the focus. Are we using our power correctly? I had a different conversation today with one of my full moon members, and she said, in an email to me, she said, I recently discovered that my business partner was negotiating contracts with our clients on our behalf in a way that unfairly compensated me. And I said, okay, before we get into the story of he's trying to pull a fast one on you, bring me this person's chart. We had a look at the chart today in session, and what I saw was this person isn't actually being nefarious. He's just moving fast and trying to keep things smooth for everyone involved and making decisions with assumption and a lack of clarity. I said, he's not actually trying to pull a fast one on you. Based on what I'm seeing here in his chart, he's just a decisive person who doesn't always think things through. If you provide him more information, like your base rate, and when you want to renegotiate based on deliverables exceeding scope, he's going to actually be quite fine with that. What's at issue here isn't him overusing his power, it's you underutilizing yours. If you step into an amiable, fair conversation about the way you want to reset terms of your agreement so that there's more room in your calendar to take on additional clients, he's actually going to be very amenable to that. So jump on it. And she said, light bulb, I wasn't using my power in this circumstance. I was assuming that he would use his power to be fair with me, but I wasn't using my power to be fair with me first. And I said, bingo, there you go. Go renegotiate this contract with this person. So I say that to say that this Pluto representing power, communities, groups, that's Aquarius, one-to-one alliances and partnerships, contracts and agreements, that's Juno. Juno and Pluto in retrograde conjunction, speaking to this full moon, is asking us, they're asking us, hey, can you use your power in more constructive ways with regard to the way you show up for yourself with others and the way you allow others to show up with you? That's the gift here. That's the benefit here. It has everything to do with stepping into power in ways that are self-honoring and taking back power in places where we've had it undermined. And sometimes it's only been undermined because we never picked it up and used it to begin with. Sometimes other people aren't being nefarious. They're just taking action. They're just moving. They're not trying to hurt you. And if you just say, hey, I actually need this, they're actually going to be very willing to work with you. So it's important to avoid narratives and stories around people trying to take our power when we've actually abdicated it first. And Saturn has been trying to help us a lot with that as it's transited through Aries there. Chiron's now trying to assist as it has stepped into the sign of personal values and self-worth and self-esteem, where have we discounted ourselves instead of just showing up? This is where we get the option to start to show up because this full moon is going to illuminate where the gaps are. Okay. Um, so, um, mm, 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 mm. Astrological events like this are calling all of us to confront what we're afraid of when it comes to restoring right use of power in our relationships. Now, for some, this will indeed be about speaking up and stepping up, but for others, this is going to be about standing down and relinquishing control. What's required of you is going to be very dependent on the circumstance. So again, there's that other situation I was telling you about where my other client was saying, hey, I'm always the helper. I'm never being helped. When's it my turn? And I say, it's going to be your turn. And the minute you take your turn, stop helping so much. Step back, stand down, relinquish control. These are adults. You don't have to save everyone. Give sometimes people the chance to save themselves. So just know which side of the spectrum you fall on. Sometimes you do too much, sometimes you do too little, right? This is the energy where the spotlight is going to be on which is which so that you can make the appropriate adjustments in your world, okay? But for all, just to narrow the focus a tad bit, we're talking, I want to again be very clear about formal relationships and agreements, binding contracts, commitments that are quote unquote official in some capacity. This is less about the situationship or the weekend fling or the June group project or the quick tiff with the neighbor. These are about the kinds of things that are far more established in the arena of partnership and community contribution. Okay. Um, we're talking really about formal agreements, official contracts in some way. And unless, and this is a big unless, that issue that is informal is bigger than that situation for you, as in it's an issue that's a repeating pattern across your life. Then it's about using that situation to write a new pattern by confronting what you're afraid of and the right usage of your power at this time. Okay. Let's get into this trine to Chiron in Taurus. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. I'm here at the new and full moons to break down the energy we're facing as a collective and how to use it in empowering ways to move your life forward. With this trine to Chiron in Taurus, while simultaneously trining this full moon, we have a huge opening for closing the loops on old 3D patterns that have been compromising ourselves, where we've been living victim stories concerning not being good enough, rejected, wounds in certain areas of life that we feel like we're stuck with forever. The arenas, of course, here are the body, that's Taurus. Our money, that's Taurus. Our self-worth and self-esteem, that's Taurus. Work and business. That's Capricorn, where this full moon sits. With easy access to understanding, more compassion, greater ability to learn something new or practice a technique that supports our wholeness. This aspect, Chiron trine the full moon, this aspect allows us to make some headway on creating a new timeline by actually behaviorally being in it now. And so there's a few different clients today that I spoke to and yesterday where I said, just it's okay to be in the moment and change your mind. Like calibrate to your body's messages in real time. Are you congruent? Are you aligned in real time? Let your body tell you the truth of that. If you're in the moment and you're no longer feeling it, stop immediately. Do not worry about getting your money back. Don't worry about hurting somebody's feelings. Do not worry about if it looks bad. Stop. Do not force your body to do that which it is not interested in. Chiron in Taurus is about to be a big wake-up call for all of us around where we force and betray our own bodies. And it's time for us to stop. And this full moon, as Chiron has just stepped into Taurus, it's aspecting another earth sign. It's full moon in Capricorn is going to be the first step many of us take into that recognition. You know what? I'm just not feeling this. I'm out. I'm done. I'm putting it down. I thought I was going right. It's time for me to turn left. Abort plan, abandon ship. We're not doing this anymore. No more self-betrayal. Okay. And so that's really some of the work here that Chiron's going to be facilitating as it begins its transition through Taurus. We're going to talk about Chiron and Taurus for all 12 signs for the Star Club members in the month of July. So if this is something you'd like to join in, you can join with the Stellium membership. It's only $22 a month. The link is below. Okay. This is also where any of those sort of initial core wounds of our life, we're going to have the chance to integrate those with this full moon because we're not going to be able to bypass them or not see them. And that's going to allow the emotional echo to take a step toward neutralization at this full moon. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, yes, you went through that thing, but you're going to be able to recall it without reliving it or being re-hurt by it every single time you remember it. That's what I mean by being able to reintegrate it, take a step toward neutralization concerning it. Like, yes, that happened to me, but I'm not governed by that any longer. The Chiron movement through Taurus is going to allow us that sort of healing with body remembered traumas. And so this is a great time if you do somatic experiencing work, if you do somatic integration work, if you do healing work that includes or focuses on the body and bypasses the mind and just allows the body to experience new sensation again and stop studying death, but start studying life, feeling good in the body again. This is where you are going to find A full moon like this opens the portal to a brand new timeline for you. Okay. We have a square to Make there in Libra for this new moon, Shaman's asteroid. This calls out where we have unintegrated lessons to learn in partnership specifically, as the Shaman's asteroid is in the sign of partnership. Now, this energy makes it plain where our growth edge is with regard to our one-to-one connections. For some people, this is about learning how to self-regulate. Just be in partnership with yourself before you try to be in partnership with another person so you can show up as steady. For others, this is going to be about learning the dance of communication. In the world of partnership, I share way too much information or I share way too little information, right? How do I be in communication in a way that is Libra balanced? Still, for other people, this is going to be about equalizing decision making. I've made way too many decisions and steered the ship way too much here. I need you to take some initiative. You steer the ship some. Here's the needs within me that I would like to just be accounted for. I'm vegan, I or I'm gluten free, but you pick the restaurant. I don't care where we go, just as long as there's something I can eat there, right? This sort of thing. Where we have this recognition, yeah, I know this thing about me and partnerships, and I have yet to integrate it. A full moon like this is going to put that under a spotlight so that you can see it. Yeah, I need to step into living this because I actually know this thing is true in the way I show up in partnerships. So, whatever that is for you, for some of you, that's going to be your own partnership with you. For others of you, this is going to be partnership with your body. And still for others of you, this is going to be partnership with another person in some capacity. Different things for different people. Okay. Um, Really interesting here. We have a sextile to Haumea in Scorpio. And just in a moment, if you're new here, I'm going to talk to you about the signs who are going to feel this full moon in Capricorn the most. And then I'm going to take you into the new moon in Cancer so you can see how the energy evolves from here. But let's talk about this sextile to Haumea because this right here I think is sort of the highlight, the bold, the italics, the period on the sentence. Normally, Haumea, creation goddess, she's all about birthing the new. But right now, she's in the sign of death, endings, and closings. That's Scorpio. And she's retrograde, so that power is withdrawn. In this sort of energy, we're not going to be able to lean heavily into some of our shadow behaviors here, which is great. We won't be able to open a new timeline to the past, trying to repeat past mistakes. That's awesome. Instead, with Haumea withdrawing her creative force and transiting the sign of closure, we're not going to be able to resurrect the old now. It has to be over for good. And I like to see that. So there's a few signs who are really going to feel this full moon most. Who's surprised by this? I mean, I love the story that the stars tell because I, c- the orchestrational design construct, the architectural design of our universe always tells such a clear, consistent, loving, benevolent story. Signs who are going to feel the heavy pressure to go first and make a change, they're going to be the cardinal signs. And look, there's 11 placements in cardinal signs, 11 luminaries in cardinal signs, but that's perfect. Cardinal signs, y'all go first. Y'all make the change for show us how it's done. The frequency of cardinal energy is when confronted with difficulty, cardinal energies decide to do something new, unprecedented, to birth a new pathway. So, signs who are going to feel this full moon the most: Capricorn, opposite side Cancer, cardinal sign Libra, and cardinal sign Aries. We will also see plenty of activation for fellow earth signs. That includes Virgo as well as Taurus. If you have sun, moon, rising, or stellium in any of these signs, please know that the push toward really letting go of the hand of any old habit, pattern, program, paradigm, or belief, this full moon is really going to accentuate areas of your life where that has to happen, and it has to happen now. Okay. Elsewhere in the sky, we've got some very interesting planetary things going on. I want to highlight those for my fellow astro nerds, astro buffs, and then I'm going to talk to you about the Cancer new moon in just a moment. We see Mercury retrograde in Cancer. It goes retrograde on the same day of this full moon. That's the 29th of June. It's retrograde there at that 26th degree of Cancer. It's going to be conjunct Jupiter at the start of this retrograde, square Chiron and Eris. Chiron now in Taurus. Eris and Aries, we've been talking about the two of them for a while because they've been tracking together, causing everybody some challenges. We also see a sextile to the Mars-Uranus conjunction there in Gemini. Ooh, keeping it spicy. Trine Nessus here in Pisces. It's also retrograde there. And a semi-sextile to Venus in Leo. This is a very fascinating configuration. If I do say so myself, there's a lot of mental changeability here that could be interpreted as instability. But I want you to know that minds are meant to change in this energy, yours and anyone connected to you. In part with the Chiron Eris component getting played up down here. This is all about rejection, wounding, feeling left out, disenfranchised, etc. With that component getting played up, it can drive people apart or bring people together. And we'll talk about what fosters connection and what fosters things blowing up in our face over in Star Club in the lunar circle for this full moon. Again, one of some of the stories I told you today are your clue. Some people need to pick up their power, some people need to put some down. Um, Sometimes it's not other people misbehaving. Sometimes it's just us being invisible, skipping ourselves, skipping our turn. We also see Mars Uranus conjunct there in Gemini. This is the energy that's the proverbial fly in the ointment in many situations. It's going to be perfect for those who have felt like their situation or they personally are completely stuck. This is going to be what makes it too uncomfortable to stay the same, agitates you to shake things loose. Just boldly have some sort of new conversation, brashly take some sort of new action, out of the blue, do a new thing. But if you've got ants in your pants and you find that you sabotage by not being able to just be still sometimes and wait, there is a high road you can take in this energy that's going to keep you from being your own worst enemy, especially because Uranus and Mars are trine Pluto, which have their finger like just itching to press buttons. We see a sextile to Jupiter in Cancer over here um, for Mars and Uranus. We also see a sextile to Neptune there in Aries, washing away some of the old identity stuff, and trying the Shaman's asteroid in Libra there. Very, very interesting energy because there's so much Uranus, Mars, early degrees of Gemini must get made. And then lastly, in Star Club, we're going to talk about Venus in Leo there at the 19th degree. Venus in Leo is having a communication also with Chiron and Eris in Aries. It's funny how like stars of the show these two are at this particular full moon. It's if you've been feeling this sort of like blah or this sort of feeling like, why is nothing working? Everyone else is getting things to work, to move, to timeline, to open, the marriage, the commitment, the engagement, the new job, the promotion, the raise, the whatever. Why is my stuff stuck? I promise you, your stuff ain't stuck, but Chiron and Eris and Aries are doing a number somewhere in your chart. This conversation with Venus opposite Juno while simultaneously also speaking to Chiron there. We also see a trine to Lilith in Sagittarius for Venus. We also see a trine to Saturn, Pallas, and Vesta down here in Aries. Already getting really spicy. Sextiles to Ceres and Gemini here, and a sextile to the Shaman's asteroid in Libra up here. In totality, all this sort of pressure on Venus, who wants to receive. In Leo, she's very generous. She also wants to shine bright like her own diamond. There's a chance for people to truly heal together and move past things that have had them stuck in interpersonal relationship for a long time. But wires can get crossed in love here with these sorts of aspects. Be very easy to misread people, misread intentions here. Same way I told you with my client who's got the business associate who's negotiating. He's doing the one all the fishing, going to get all the clients. She never said to him, "Look, sir, this is my minimum." She thought he was just out here like negotiating around her. He's not. But now she needs to step into her power. She could have read this as being taken advantage of. The only person in the situation taking advantage of her was her. Had she run into that situation as if she was being taken advantage of, it could have blown up the whole relationship. And in Star Club, in the Capricorn Full Moon Lunar Circle, we're going to talk about how to avoid that with Venus in this particular place because she is compromised if she's having this conversation with Chiron and Eris, with Neptune and Saturn. She's very compromised having this conversation with Lilith and Ceres at the same time. It can go very sideways very quickly, but we also have the opportunity to heal together if we take a different route, and I'll lay out what those choices are inside of um, the what do you call it? The Capricorn, sorry, the Cancer, sorry, the Capricorn full moon lunar circle. Look, if you haven't already joined Star Club, I strongly recommend you consider it now. I have one spot left for those of you who want to join and get readings from me with your membership. Otherwise, it's classes and community spots only. That's the new moon membership. It's 433. And if we're only doing relationship readings in your 3 new moon readings, private readings with me, you're actually going to end up saving up to 40% over 30-minute readings every time we get together. It's you and me once a month, and we'll have a conversation where we're going to look at whatever you want to look at for 30 minutes. One spot left for that. If you've been wanting me to read for you over the course of this year, this is the new way to get readings with me. You need to be a member of Star Club. We just had a Juno retrograde live where those of you who are interested in finding love this year, I talked a bit about how that's going to work this year with the Juno retrograde. We also had a deep dive conversation on Folus and Capricorn for all 12 signs for both of these so that you would understand what to expect in context of your chart and your life. Capricorn Full Moon Lunar Circle. You'll be able to catch the recording of that. Our next live event is Jupiter and Leo for all 12 signs. I do live readings for the full moon members. If you are a full moon member, you've already got your spot. These spots have sold out, If you want to learn about how to break down charts, I do public facing readings for these members and as I break down their charts. We also have Cancer New Moon Learner Circle member voted lives where you tell me what you want me to read a chart on, and I do it for you. In July, we'll also have Chiron and Taurus for all 12 signs so that you understand what this is going to mean for your money and your way showership and your career and your body going into the next 8 years, 7 years, and so many more events here. If you're planning to join us for Star Club for that last new moon membership, I strongly recommend that you do it now. The deal here is that these new moon memberships allow you to save like a lot of money. And I wanted to make sure I laid that out for you. They're 433 each. If you 44 each, which means you save 130 bucks, which is great. And in the new moon membership, there are July readings available with me. You can look at multiple charts in a single session, which I do not allow when you book with me. And this is part of the kind of bonus of being having solid book days where you have booked in advance. We get weekly deep dives in classes. Anytime I offer a public facing class, you'll save 25%. If it's just me, not me with a partner, and you get community support, and our community is very vibrant. The 3 half-hour readings for full moon to allow you to save more, but those spots are now sold out. We only have one new moon membership left. I would love for you to have that if you're interested, and I can't wait to see you there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Cancer new moon and where this energy progresses to from here. And now let's get into first look. I want to give you my first impression of the Cancer new moon taking place on July 14th at 5:43 a.m. if you're on the eastern seaboard of the United States. Here is our new moon at the 21st degree of Cancer. Looks like it's conjunct a Mercury retrograde, so that will be interesting. It'll make for some very interesting emotions and communication experiences for us collectively. We'll also see a square from Saturn there in Aries and Eris in Aries. We'll see a semi-sextile from Ceres there in Gemini. And those are the major aspects, Star Fam. Wow. Okay, so with the only other major planetary aspect being Saturn here, and then we've got a loose trine from Nessus. This tells me that this is a moment when a lot of the communication kerfluffle over the course of the Mercury retrograde get the opportunity to get worked out. If there have been misfirings, misunderstandings, miscommunications, repressed things that need to come out in a very calm, tempered manner, or if there have been things that erupted at the start of the Mercury retrograde that now need to get resolved and worked through, this is going to be the new moon to do it. So I like to see this. I also feel like there's strong closure energy coming in from Ceres here. So this is going to allow us to override any cycles that, have undermined our communication patterning. And then Mercury retrograde is just going to want to guarantee that we're able to say things the right way with people, take a more measured approach. My only concern here is this square from Saturn. There are a few shadow ways that this can play out, so I'll talk to you about it when we get closer to this Cancer new moon. But just be mentally prepared that there's a little bit of an influence here of like pessimism and negativity. So if you know you're already prone to think in that direction, you want to be doing everything you can leading up to this Cancer new moon, to be giving yourself grace, give other people some grace, assume best case scenario, not worst case scenario, assume good intent as opposed to malicious intent. These are the kind of things that will facilitate added harmony, you could say, in your interpersonal relationships and with yourself at this Cancer new moon that's coming up. And that's what I got, guys. Thanks so much for liking, watching, subscribing, and sharing. Thanks for sharing comments down below about what you're experiencing. It can be very validating for other people to know they're not alone. And if you're wanting to grab that last new moon membership in Star Club, now is the time to do it. If you happen to go to the page and it already says sold out, it's because it is sold out. Hopefully, it doesn't. If you wanted to get a reading with me in the month of July and August and September, that would be the way to do it. Looking forward to connecting more. Take great care and bye for now.